Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the Wednesday, March 19th edition of the Daily Pulse. I'm your host, Teddy Panos, coming to you from the WellPoint Studios, and joined this morning in the WellPoint Studios by Lowell City Councilor, Vice Mayor Paul Ratha, who's here with us. Good morning, Councilor. How are you?
Good morning, Ted, and thank you for having me. And hello to all the people that watching the podcast. So I understand that you have a lot of followers.
People are interested in what's going on in Lowell and the world around it. So we got a lot to talk about. We were supposed to be joined by former Mayor Bill Samaras, who's going to become a regular on Wednesdays with the councilors. Unfortunately, he had a last-minute appointment pop up, but he says he'll be back next week and ready to bother people with me. So,
lucky me.
So now you have to deal with just me, not with the former mayor. We're going to continue our discussion, start our discussion with Councilor 𝐏𝐚, I should say. Let me just quickly thank our sponsors here of the Daily Pulse. Ray Booten, he's a licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. He's a certified appraiser in both of those states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, a commercial property, or if you want that property appraised, Real Estate Ray Booten is your man. Find him online just at that website, realestaterayBooten.com. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint. WellPoint is the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. And as a reminder, open enrollment here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for those who are covered under the GIC starts April 2nd through May 1st. So if you're not already a member of WellPoint and you want to take advantage of their superior plans, that is your opportunity to do so. Go to the website and learn more. Be ready for when April 2nd comes. Let's bring back Councilor Paul Ratha in here. Interesting meeting last night. It actually went a little bit longer than I thought it would go, but there was far less discussion on the issue that I was really focusing on, and that's the upcoming city election.
Well, the reason being is that it was referred to the election subcommittee, so we kind of saved that, to discuss more at the subcommittee level, so allow us more detailed discussion, locations of certain poll locations and stuff like that.
Yeah, there are some issues that are still to be decided. Sure. But did I? And I forgive me, because when I watch the meetings, my kids are always running around making noise. But I believe that you at least did vote to accept the calendar, which was the September 9th preliminary date, which sets all the other timetables leading up to and after that date going to November 4th, correct? Yes,
that's correct.
So a September 9th preliminary election, if necessary. We believe at least in one district it will be necessary. Could possibly be necessary in your district as well, as we're learning more. But as I said to you before, I root for preliminaries and contested races in every single district. That's
more juicy.
But a couple of the issues, I'm curious your thoughts on them as this goes through the subcommittee and it gets discussed, because one of the buildings in question is right in your district, and that is the senior center. Some councilors want to use that as an early voting location all the time. It is used on election day, but it creates some challenges, especially for early voting and especially in presidential years and when you have long cycles. And that is a disruption to the meals and other programs that they have there. Your thought on that?
My thought is I agree with the majority of my councilor that let's keep it at the senior center for convenience and for accessibility, convenient and then accessibility. If we plan it permanently at the senior center and the city would work out some sort of arrangement whereby on a preliminary municipal or the or presidential, work it around that there will be less disruption for our elderly. So if we plan ahead, everything is about planning, but people fail to plan. So, and that's that to me, that's what the issue is. Like, if we have time to plan and we plan ahead of time, there will be less disruption.
So to be clear, you are in favor of using the senior center for early voting instead of City Hall?
Yes.
Okay. Is there what if the folks at the senior center? I haven't spoken to them, but Elections Director Will Rosenberry referenced it last night, and also in his report that it does become disruptive to those meal services. And I think there's some exercise classes or activities that they do.
But that's he also add on. He learned that from his previous predecessor.
Greg Pappas, who was in here talking about that yesterday.
Talking about that. Yeah, but like I mentioned, I'm in favor of using the senior center as the place for the preliminary and the election day. But plan ahead, so that will be less disruption on our seniors. So.
Okay. What about the mail-in drop box? And it's currently been moved into the police station because it was tampered with on 2 previous years. I do understand that there are some folks who don't feel safe vote or for whatever reason don't want to go into the police station to vote.
Yes.
Is that, are there enough of them? Have you heard from enough people like that to make a change to a place which might not be as secure?
There's number one. There should be the drop box. It should be convenience for a lot of folks, right? You're looking at the post office. They have mailbox all places, right? And they're not. Maybe it's somebody who tampered with it. But however, if we learn it from other state, other area that they've done this successfully, our goal is to make it more accessible where people can drop it off. It doesn't have to be all like everywhere like a mailbox, but at least a certain location. We have 8 districts, so we should at least have one drop box in each district. It's really well received, well located, and in my case, senior center drop box would be the best location there.
So you'd like to see one more drop box in every location instead of one in the entire city.
Right, that's right. And then the city hall used to have on the side where the JFK Plaza is, and there's a door go to the basement of the city hall. There should be a drop box inside with the secure code that people can just drop it, slide it in like a mailbox, slide in and go into this a ballot box, and it's really locked and everything. Nobody has access. I thought that's also can help too. It used to be on the front side of this, on the side of this, City Hall on Merrimack Street. Yes, it used to be that would be perfect location now. But if that issue is like security, the City Hall should have a camera or something like that. So.
Are you concerned? How concerned are you about the security?
I'm not
in
concerned.
2022 and 2023, somebody tried to get into those or at least sabotage.
Yeah.
We've seen in other parts of the country in 2024 in Oregon and Washington State, there were 3 fires set in mailboxes, and I guess it's happened in Boston as well.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that it's a local election. It's not a national election. That's really the temperature is high. Emotional was high about the presidential election. But for local election, I don't see that as an issue at all. There may be, but if we secure it enough, it should be okay.
All right, we'll see what comes out of the committee, and then you'll all have an opportunity to vote on that.
Yes.
One other item from last night's meeting that you spoke on specifically was the beautification of the Lord Overpass. The new, I don't even, are they still calling it the Lord Overpass?
No, Dutton Street Corridor. Or
I call it the Big Phil, but there's a lot of space to maintain now.
Right.
And you brought up as part of the discussion this Adopt an Island program that exists throughout different communities, but it actually used to exist there.
Yeah, in the city of Lowell. Yes, a while back.
And on the old before the redesign, there were some islands that were adopted
there. It was.
Those islands have been kind of
Gone.
recreated or they're gone.
Right.
Are the
And-
people who used to adopt them, are they interested in doing something similar?
Right. From what I heard from resident, they do talked about, an opportunity to adopt an island. And on February 6th of 2024, I brought up a motion of revisiting an island. This way for me to allow residents to get involved in the beautification of our city, particularly the Dutton Street corridor, the brand new one that we built. The councilor were told that the company who plans the plan and shrub have 2 years to maintain it. So this is last year. So nothing being done in the springtime, nothing being done in the summertime, nothing was done in the fall. So the resident that spoke to me about it reminded me, say, look, the city did not do anything about this beautiful. The city spent a lot of money, to reconfigure that road, and it's beautiful park, beautiful everything. Why don't the city do something, or at least put it out to allow residents or businesses to adopt section of the island? So when I brought up and raised the issue, and we were told, well, the city also concerned about the safety, because it's heavy traffic and all of that. And I said to myself, people are smart enough, they're not going to walk in front of a moving car to go plant the plants. And number two, that corridor has the bus lane, it's not being used, right? So it's perfect. So perfect. You can park your car there and planting plant, right?
There are also people standing in those middle grounds all the time, holding signs, and then walking back and forth in traffic.
Right. And
they manage not to get hit by a car.
Exactly. So
did you get an answer as to why no maintenance? The company who kind of did that construction or that part of the beautification, they are supposed to maintain it for 2 years,
right?
And then it comes to the city. Why aren't they maintaining it?
Well, I'm waiting for the motion response, and I asked the manager, please let us know, and please come back and let us know. In addition to just that corridors, I personally want to see other small park, manager Golden call it pocket parks, throughout the city, allow families, allow businesses to adopt those, pocket parks. They would then plant plants, and they would do all the beautification. This way, it's benefit two things. Number one, city will get community resident involved in the beautification of our city. Number two, reduce the workload on our staff, our DPW staff, right? They would still be part of it, but they're not actually doing it. The resident will do it. They would just helping make sure that they plan it correctly and all of that stuff, which is less work for them, Yeah.
To me, that seems like you're going back to an era that people maintained these things a lot. I remember baseball field, little league fields and whatnot. And even last year, my son was playing baseball, and I remember the coaches from the two teams went and got those rakes and raked the infield and whatnot. If you get each neighborhood, if you can arrange neighborhood groups doing some of that, it would make the job of the city employee, DPW and parks employees easier. Do you think they would be okay with that? Would the city be okay with leaving some of that responsibility to private groups and
I don't know
leagues?
why not. I don't know why not. You number one, you urge a resident to get involved with your city, right? And this is one way to get involved. When people get involved in something, they take pride in their neighborhood. When they take pride in the neighborhood, they will be more involved, including the election. They just want to elect a certain candidate that will be, keeping the resident, keeping the neighborhood beautiful and safe and things like that, right? So one lead to another. So there's a lot of benefit. I don't know. I don't see any negative out of that.
All right. We're chatting with City Councilor Paul Ratha, represents District 7, the Acre neighborhood as it's known here in Lowell. We're going to continue our discussion with Councilor Yem. Let me just quickly thank our Daily Pulse sponsors. Remind you that you're watching the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse on this Wednesday, March 19th. Well, you may be watching it whenever, but this is the Wednesday, March 19th edition. Thank you to our friend Real Estate Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both states as well. Find them online, realestaterayBooten.com. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that feels like home. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire for, well, it's now exactly 1 century, 100 years since 1925. Thank you as well to the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life in Greater Lowell through strategic, impactful philanthropy. Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on to insure its most valuable assets since 1982. And by the Massachusetts Pirates season opener 2025, just 3 nights away now on Friday, March 21st. The Pirates open their 25 season. Head on over there. I'm going to be there with my family checking it out. I hope to see you there as well. Did you get to take in any of the football games last year, Counselor?
Yes, I did. I went in, and it's beautiful. We had a lot of fun.
It's a fun night.
I know.
I know. My kids go right down to the boards now, and they kind of get high-fived by the players. They love it.
The kids. And then oftentimes when the ball hailed to the seat and the spectator would throw it back, and people say, "No, keep it." Yes.
I'm just worried about one of these plays if my kid's on the boards when they tackle someone and knock them into the boards. That's what scares me. But it's a fun take. I hope people get out and support.
It's a family fun
because they're very involved in our community as well. They're there at City of Light and other types of events.
Right.
This is you're the first city council. Lucky you. First city councilor who's been on here since the last Tuesday's meeting where you had an executive session regarding Sal Lepoli's development in the Hamilton Canal Innovation District.
Right.
We reported it Inside Lowell last Thursday, I believe. I'm losing my dates, but the story is there. You can see it, that the city has come to some kind of agreement with Sal Lepoli. I called it a divorce agreement whereby he is going to sell his property to another developer, and that developer is going to come in and do what needs to be done.
Right.
Are you at liberty to discuss any of that yet?
Well, that's the reason why we go into executive session, that we discuss certain matters that is not to the advantage of the city to disclose it. So I'm going to just maintain that confidentiality.
Okay. So you can't verify whether an agreement has been reached?
I can't do that.
Okay. Can I ask what you would like to see there?
More development as a mixed-use development, and I think my feeling is that this UMass Lowell Link project might be able to kind of get connected to that area. That will be helpful, and I know will be a really big things that's happening in that area. More development. That's just what all I can say. I'm hoping that the Link project will be connected.
Okay.
With that.
So the original deal on on those parcels that Sal Lepoli Development Companies owned was to be a 13-story office tower, which apparently nobody wants to build. But I had gone up last summer to Haverhill and seen an 8-story steel and glass building that had a really nice restaurant on the first floor, had a rooftop bar, and bunch of stuff in between, right on the Merrimack River in Haverhill.
Is that by Sal Lepoli Companies?
Sal Lepoli Companies, yeah. And it was my kind of my wish that something like that would happen in the Hamilton Canal District.
Wow.
I was told that despite the amicable divorce between the city and Lepoli Companies, that I'm not going to be happy with whatever comes in its place. Am I going to be happy? Am I going to get my 8-story steel and glass tower?
Well, you'll be surprised probably.
I'll be surprised. Will I be pleasantly surprised?
Right.
I will. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's put it that way.
All right. There's a little optimism. Okay. I'll leave it there before I get you into any more trouble. I also, before we get to the main event here, and that is the Smith Baker Center, which you've been heavily involved with.
Right.
I do want to just kind of point out that again last night you had motions about honoring some of our veterans, those hometown hero banners that you've got, and that whole program. Great. I know people who've actually submitted their father's name.
Yes, and the friends and families and.
You do a lot of these veteran issues, and even you had something about the Tuskegee Airmen. I think it was last week, right?
Yes.
Why are these issues so front and center for you?
My father was in the Cambodian military during the Vietnam War, involved with, during the Vietnam War with U.S. soldiers who were in Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos. So my father was one of the military. His group in charge of protecting the capital Phnom Penh, Cambodia, so against the advancement of the Khmer Rouge. So April of 1975, the Khmer Rouge marched into the capital, and his unit was overrun. He's one of the captain of the unit, so he never came home. But similar to some of the Vietnam vet never came home. Some who came home with broken limbs, or at least with fracture, sense of guilt and stuff like that. And when they arrive, they are not well received compared to a veteran of World War I, World War II. You have ticker tape parades in New York cities and stuff like that. But these Vietnam vets came home, they have to take off their uniform. Otherwise, people will call them a child killer and all of that. One of the Vietnam vet soldier told a story when he arrived at the Logan airport. He has to take off his uniform, otherwise he can't catch a cab from Logan to Lowell, because the cab driver hates it and doesn't want anything to do with the Vietnam vet. And that hurts. You put so much. For me, my father never came home. And we went through 4 years of the killing field, surviving that. And now we in the United States. We are in a similar boat as a U.S. Vietnam vet. We came home not well received. We came to America, was not well received. But, we were able to endure the suffering and learn from it, and then, and survive and thrive, build a new life here and appreciate it. So for me, helping the veteran remember what they've done for our country is a one way of healing process for me, and that's why I do this.
It seems to me that it's personal to you, and I did not know that story about your dad beforehand.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
I don't understand. But it also it struck me last night that as you talked about beautification of the Lord Overpass, it also kind of beautifies those banners, like the JFK Plaza
Right.
looks completely different
Right,
now, and
right,
the other areas
right.
where you're seeing some
Right.
of these monuments, some of these tributes.
Yeah.
So it's another. It serves a second purpose.
A second purpose that people come down, in addition to see a beautiful landscape and flowers and shrub along that, they will see the banners, the hometown hero banners, honoring these the veterans, that serve our country, protecting our liberties, and that sends a stronger message that Lowell is supporting our veteran and their family who have sacrificed so much, to defend our country. Some of these veterans left Lowell at a young age, like my son's age, high school, and went off. And some have family, they leave their wife or kids behind, their parents behind. They have to pick up in the slot and raising the family and take care of the family because of their members went off to wars in another country.
Okay, let's end the discussion with the real, what everybody I'm sure wants to hear you talk about, and that is the Smith-Baker Center.
Right.
It's been going on and on and
Right,
on,
and
and
on.
it's going to go on a little bit longer.
Longer, yeah.
Yeah, so I said it got a stay of execution. The death penalty has been delayed. Has the building been saved forever in your mind, or is it still? I'm pessimistic. I still think that ultimately it's not going to be a financially feasible project. Am I too pessimistic? Are you optimistic?
I'm very optimistic because the narrative is always, oh, the building is long too gone, knock it down. So we want to change that narrative, and I believe, and it started out because it located in my district. it's across the street from the city hall, and I've been to Smith Baker twice during the '80s when Dukakis Committee on Refugee came to do a hearing on refugee, Southeast Asian refugee. We had a meeting there, meet with all the nonprofit, and then when Bill Weld was the governor, he came to Lowell, talked about refugee. He was in the Smith Baker, and I happened to be the interpreter for Governor Bill Weld at the time. I think it's 1990s, and around that time. So I've seen the beauty inside of the building and stuff like that. So I filed a motion. First is that ask the city to apply with mass historical preservation for grants to preserve something, right? So I got shot down and said, well, the grant is up 100,000 most of the time, and we have to, the city have to foot half of that, and then I was kind of mocked by some of my colleagues that it's not enough to even put something on a building. But to me, the reason is that we have a beautiful building. They don't build building like this anymore. The stained glass windows, the pew, the inside. It's beautiful. 2019, my family and I had an opportunity to visit, 2017, sorry, to visit Paris, and we went to the cathedral before it was burned, and the beauty of that. And then I keep in mind that, I keep that in mind, and I saw the Smith Baker similar kind of characters and historical significance. I grew up in Cambodia. We don't have this type of building. I live in California. We don't have that either. So in Lowell, we have unique, beautiful building, and I've seen some of the old building that was knocked down. The church on Guam Street is one of them, and it's knocked down by neglect. So, and that's the reason why. So as I was speaking in favor of trying to save it, there is a group that came together and then tried to save the Smith Baker. So they organized themselves to a 501c3 nonprofit, and they call themselves, Smith Baker Preservation Corporation. So they asked me to join them. So they put me as a vice president. So then when I filed 2 motions about additional, having the structural engineering report, talked about the save it and everything, I was pointed out that it creating a conflict of interest according to our solicitor. So I decided to resign to take myself out of the group. So I mentioned it. So they filed the change of the board, the director of the organization, take my name out. And then lastly, I went to talk to the State Ethics Commission. I explained to her my situation, and she recommended that I file out certain form, and then after fill it out, check the box that what my action will not create any conflict of interest, and then file that with the clerk's office. So I did that.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to stop on that for a quick second, because there's been a lot of questions about the timing of certain things. When you filed a motion in March of 2024, I believe, or somewhere around there, to have an engineering firm come in,
Right.
It was around the same time this Save Smith Baker Committee was kind of formed, right?
Right. Well, actually, they formed a bit earlier, around February.
Okay.
So.
Did you file that motion so that that committee wouldn't have to get an engineering report?
No, it wasn't that. My argument about engineering report was that it doesn't matter after I file about preserving it. The DPD will give us an option, to knock it down, to preserve it. But the reason I'm filing for the structural engineering report, because no matter you knock it down or keep it or renovate it, you need to understand the really structure of the building, because whoever go in there to do remediation before a demolition, they need to know how safe certain areas. So this engineering report will give us a good picture. And I asked a question, did we ever have one? No, we have one. So how come we say the building's falling apart or should knock it down without seeing it? I'm in real estate, so we do appraisal. We do a structural engineering report, before we do anything for the safety of whoever going to be working in the building. So I brought that, experience of appraisal and structural engineering reports and all that to this, and not because I don't want them to have it, or I want the group to have it, but just for our own as a city, to need to know.
Given the conflict of interest discussion that ensued because
Right.
of that, and it carried over into this year,
Right.
do you wish you had let one of your other colleagues file that motion?
Yeah, I got off, and then and I kind of stepped back, and the group, I mentioned to the group, and they understand that, and I told them that I would be more helpful benefits to help save it by not getting involved in the group. So then I'm grateful for John Dakota, and then Councilor Scott. Councilor Dakota was the first one to file to make a motion to demolish it. But after
Yes.
my two motion failed, and he was approached by Smith Baker Preservation Group, and then he's agreed to put a motion together. And I was happy to see that 9 of my colleagues voted to give it another chance, a stay of execution like you talked about.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Does that group have an unfair advantage, though, if they get to send people in there to look at the building?
Well,
Because that was what the discussion was last week.
Right. The week before that.
Shouldn't other potential interested developers be invited to go in there as well?
And that's why the agreement is that let's put out an RFP. An RFP open up to everyone, so this way not one group having advantage over the other. So now this DPW will put, and along with the solicitor, put out an RFP. It's going to be like 2 months before the RFP coming out. In the meantime, the city still proceed with the with demolition, getting all of that. So everything happened at the same time. Let me add that the group that Save Smith Baker have so far raised about $1 million to help when time comes if they were to purchase it from the city. One individual committed $250,000. This is just like a handful of folks. They have not reached out to the rest of the interest individual who want to see this Smith Baker saved. So I'm sure they probably be able to raise close to $4 million that the structural engineering report said to just button up the building to save,
Right. So that's ultimately whoever ends up purchasing it. Right. If my hunch is you're not going to have a bunch of people trampling over each other to get in and look at that building. Right. But be that as it may, the minimum requirement that I would look for from the city is somebody puts that $3-4 million in to do whatever safety measures were recommended, so that nobody gets hurt by that building. Right. Are you confident? Do you think your group can raise that amount of money in a short period of time, or do you need a year, 2 years for this to happen?
I don't want to put a restraint on the group. At least, like I mentioned, they raised so far $1 million out of 10 or 11 members of the group, right? And I'm hoping that they were able to do the rest. The $1 million allow them to do a critical, like the roof, and then maybe have the net to catch any falling slate, a slate roof or things like that, And I would encourage the city, and that's my position, is to work with the group. This is a lot of benefit to both parties, the city and the group. And then we have a beautiful building that will be preserved, to show forth, in the city. We always in the government try to encourage groups, residents, to get involved in all different projects. And it's very hard because people live a busy life. But here we have a group who's willing to get involved, to do something. Similarly to talked about people sponsor an island, pocket parks, right? You want to get them involved. We should embrace that as a city. We'll get them involved.
This is going to be a big, expensive pocket park.
Yeah.
Before we talk about potential uses for it, and I know you have a ribbon cutting to get to, so I want to just quickly ask, were you in any way ever going to profit from your involvement with Saving Smith Baker? Will you in any way going forward? Is the idea to make some money here, to develop something that you or your group will make money off of?
See, that's the misconception that my supporting the Save Smith Baker group is that I benefit something. I do not have any financial interest or financial benefit. in any way from the involvement or save the Smith Baker, except to preserve this historical building to allow next generation to really know the history and and preserve and enjoy that. So whatever the group want to do, it's their it's their plan, work with the city, but I just want to see the building safe. That's all.
You're in real estate, so you're not going to be involved in any type of business plan. One thing that interests me is originally when this discussion started a month or two ago about trying to save it again with this group, there was talk about a Cambodian history museum. That was not there at last week's meeting. I didn't hear that. I heard about a performing arts center and whatever. Is that still part of the plan, Counselor?
I'm not sure. Like I emailed to the group and the members and say, look, I'm not the one that going to dictate what the building is for. Use it. Whatever the group is the one that driving the agenda of the preservation of the Smith Baker, whatever they want to do, So it's the group. They have their own, vision they want to see to the Smith Baker building. But I know at least the building is safe and preserved and redeveloped and repurposed.
And I believe that's in your district, right?
Right, it's in my district.
What would you, as the city councilor?
Yes.
What would you like to see in there?
Well, I like to see that we be a part of a community center, a co-working kind of place. Community center, meaning that there's a lot of minority churches. They want to have, certain event, baptism or event. And for minority community in my district, like they want to have a small wedding, birthday party, they were able to use that. And there's a community kitchen that I'm looking and I'm thinking that would be helpful for someone who want to do some sort of catering. They don't have a commercial kitchen at their home, so they could use a Smith Baker community kitchen as a way to launch their career, launch their business. This is really important in our district because there's a lot of low-income family that want to start a business, but they don't have all the means. So I'm hoping the Smith Baker will provide that. In addition, co-working group, I have a real estate office or I have financial services. I don't have money to rent a really big space. So I'm going to have a cubicle, will be my space, we'll share a conference room, internet, and things like that, So that's what I see. There's a lot of small entrepreneurs who want to start, but they don't have a whole lot of money in our district. A lot of low income family who want to be on their own, who start a business. So this Smith Baker would allow them to do all of that. So that's my vision.
All right, I'm going to end it there. I will tell you that I spent many afternoons, Sunday afternoons, doing Greek Independence Day programs in there, as did my mother when she was a teacher at the Greek school.
Right.
The building is pretty special and it's important. I remain pessimistic. I think ultimately it's going to be hard to come up with a plan and the money, but I do wish you luck. If somehow you can pull this off death's row and give it a vibrant life,
well,
I'm rooting for you.
I want to tell you my personal story. I came to America, landed in LAX with only a clothes on my back. And then I was brought in by an American sponsor family who took me in, living in San Bernardino, California. And then I end up here in Boston to help Cambodian refugees. Now, the reason I'm telling you the story is an optimistic and hard work. And then the same thing with the Smith Baker. The group work hard and get it done. And see what I am and where I am right now because of the hard work and belief in myself. The same thing with the group. They believe in themselves. They think they can do. And with that positive will be, infectious, to get people involved. There's a lot of people who love old building and they will reach out near and far to help.
All right. To me, if you're successful with this will be a big part of your legacy as a city councilor and as a Lowellian. City Councilor Paul Ratha, the Vice Mayor of our city. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We'll do it again soon. Thank you to Councilor Yem. Thank you as well for tuning in to the Daily Pulse. Tomorrow, we're going to have School Superintendent Liam Skinner joining us. Boy, just in time from a Lowell Sun report on a school committee meeting that said $1.5 million spent in 3 months transporting homeless students. We're going to talk about that with Superintendent Skinner, along with some other things as well. On Friday, the Pod Squad will be here. Every day it drops at noon, the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, keeping our fingers on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. Till next time, everybody stay safe, and we'll see you on the other side.